So from next year, May the 7th to May the 16th, On Mission is planning its first ever trip to Israel. And I'm here to tell you about how my trip went, but also to encourage you to consider coming along. This trip is primarily for leaders or folks who want to be leaders, who see themselves as leaders in the future. And the reason we're doing this trip now is because we want to change the way people often handle Israel. So for a lot of people, Israel is a trip they take at the end of their career, or their time in ministry. The church raises up some money and sends the pastor who's 70 years old or so to Israel, and they kind of get to walk, in the lands that they've been preaching about for so long, and it's like a good sort of farewell trip. And we just thought to ourselves, what if you got to take this trip at the start of your ministry, at the start of your Christian leadership journey? How would that just so change your life, right? So I went to Israel for the first time in 2024, and it was, I got saved when I was 13. To give you context, I grew up, falling asleep reading the Bible, being under my kind of duvet, reading about, Jesus, the Beatitudes, reading all these different things. And so to step foot in Israel, from that 13-year-old boy who got saved, it was easily the most life-changing thing that's ever happened to me. I've had a lot of experiences in the time I've been alive so far, but being in Israel was the most life-changing thing that ever happened to me for a number of different reasons. And this is why we want young leaders to go. One is, it takes your faith, no matter how vivid your faith journey is, it takes it from this sort of theoretical thing to this sort of real world thing that's tethered to history. It was easily the most life-changing thing I've ever done. And there's a part of me that wants every young person listening to me to have the same experience. One of the major things it did is it allowed me to connect my faith and all the places I've read about in scripture and I've believed about, and now I'm actually standing there. And it's real. There's a history here. It's not just the Sea of Galilee. No, it's the Sea of Galilee where I'm currently standing. It's not just Magdala, where Mary Magdalene's from. No, it's the actual place. It's not just a synagogue. We're standing in that same synagogue. We're standing, there's so many stories. I remember one time, when I was young, I received a call to ministry quite young, and in a very similar way, I felt as though God was calling me to follow him. And in all the different synoptic gospels, the story is recorded where Jesus meets these people fishing and they're struggling, and he says, drop that, I'll make you fishers of men, after, giving them a boat-breaking, bountiful harvest. And here we are reading that story, but this time we're on a boat and we're actually on the Sea of Galilee, and we're on the same sea that Jesus would have seen them. And I'm there just looking out and seeing this, and of course tears just start running down my eyes, because I just go, wow, all those years ago, 2,000 years ago, it was in the same place that Jesus called these people, and he's calling me in the same way today, 2,000 years later. So many of those stories happened where I got to connect my faith and things I believed into a real history. The second thing that was really powerful about the trip for me was getting to meet the people of the land. There's so much said about Jewish people and Pharisees and Sadducees that we read in the Bible, but we often think about Jewish people in 2D. You think about the Sadducees or the Pharisees. You don't know any of their customs, what they do, their history. And so being there and seeing, how they live, how they take the Torah, how they read the Torah, all of that just added so much more context and cultural context to what I say. Even my belief on Sabbath, right? Sure, Jesus is the Lord of the Sabbath, and I have particular beliefs that I think are biblically informed about how we ought to treat the Sabbath. But what I didn't know in any real detail was how Jewish people treat Sabbath. Jesus was a Jew, so Jesus would have had the same understanding of Sabbath. Before he says what he says about Sabbath, he would have understood their view of Sabbath. And the truth is, I just didn't know. I had no clue what Jewish people were actually like, what their shared history was, and so the trip helped me know that as well. And for me, the reason why I'm really animated, and I really want every single person who can come to come on this trip, was it added so much color to my faith. Because now when I read stories in the Bible, like Simon the Tanner's house, right? You know, there's a smell associated with it. There's a memory I have of the place. It's not just, the Bible isn't just a place where you, a book you read for like helpful quotes and interested. No, it's history. It's actually real. Everything happened. The places are still there. A lot of the excavations are revealing. I'm seeing pottery from that period. There's just so much. And so, you know, I guess how does one describe it? For me, it's sort of like the difference between, I wear glasses, right? When I take my glasses off, things are a bit hazy, right? When I put them on, things are super clear. I can see everything sharp in 2020. And I think there's something about being in Israel and walking the paths and taking our own pilgrimage, if you like, that allows us to just see, just clearer, to connect deeper, to the stories we read in the Bible. So of course, if you can't make it, you can't make it. But if you can, absolutely, click the link in the bio, you know, click the attached link, wherever the link is, click it, inquire and get involved. It's gonna be a life-changing trip for 30 people. And I would love for you to be a part of it.